Rich again, and today we're talking about power valve springs. Husky KTM are equipped with power valve springs, and today we're just going to change our power valve spring. Okay, tools needed for the job: 6mm. This is the one that KTM supplies, Husky supplies in their little toolkit that comes with the bike. I duct tape mine on there just so I don't lose it, and just use it just for that. Flat tip screwdriver, and in this case I have two different power valve springs, a green and a red. And a rag, obviously. Okay, so we've laid the bike over. You have to lay the bike over to remove the power valve cover, so you don't want any oil to drain out. All we do is shut the gas off, lay the bike over outside to make sure all the gas is out of the carburetor when you get your floor dirty, and just position the left handle grip on a stand, so it's laid over but not completely laid over. Now I'm just going to take the 6mm and loosen. I'm going to loosen each one first. I'm going to break it loose. And, I kind of like to just keep going back and forth across, because if not, you just wad one up and get the other screw all fetched up. So little by little, because it's spring loaded, because it's got the other ring behind it. Now there's external adjustment as well, we're going to talk about here, but here we're just talking about the spring itself. So, loose. I'm just going to pull this cover off for debris, oil. There's an O-ring that does seal the unit, so you want to make sure that O-ring's good. There's no issues with it. Lay it there. Now, so your power valve spring is actually inside of this spring, but what you need to do is just pull it out, okay? When you pull it out, you'll see this little clasp here at the bottom, okay, that the bigger spring sits in. You're just going to separate it, pull it apart a little bit. So it has a yellow spring, and what we're actually going to put in it is a red. Now we're wiping this off, make sure the oil is good, no debris, nothing crazy. Okay, so now I'm just refastening the red power valve spring, that little lip there. Okay. Take the governor spring. I call it the governor spring. I think that's what it's called. Pushing it all the way back in. Okay. Now, this little deal here, slot. There's a square, flat slot, looks like a screwdriver blade, all the way in, parallel with the floor if the bike was sitting upright. So you want to make sure this is going to line up with it, because that's where it sits. And you'll be able to tell when you set it down in, because you won't be able to turn it or spin it. Okay, so just letting it sit there. Now I'm taking the cover, okay, again, making sure there's no debris or anything jacked up with the O-ring. Bolts are here on the ground, so I'm just taking the brass external part of the adjustment, positioning it into the spring properly, make sure it's seated good. You want to hold a little tension on the spring, and also you want to make sure there's no debris or anything like that on the cover as well. Alright, so we're going to hold a little tension. Line up the holes, and I'm just going to put a couple threads in it, a couple threads on each side. Hold it. Okay, so it's kind of even, a couple threads holding it in. And again, tightening it up, I'm just going to tighten it up the same way I loosened it. Just a couple turns on each side, back and forth. Back and forth. I don't want to go in one tight with one side and not with the other. Just kind of go equal with the whole deal. Okay, so now we're tight. Make sure everything kind of balances out. You don't want to over tighten them, but they're both tight. Now as far as the external adjustment, the brass screw in the center screw head is actually square. Enduro Engineering and a couple other companies do offer a square-headed screwdriver, I guess you would call it, to adjust it, or a tool to properly adjust this. Now Now with this particular bike, we put a red power valve spring in from a yellow, the 300, and we're kind of flush. The more you go out with it, the quicker the response. The more you go in, the less the response. So it's up to you to kind of figure it out, and you only want to go a turn at a time. So always count how many turns you go when you're playing with it, but just remember going out, a little less tension on the spring, it opens quicker. Put tension on the spring, it's kind of a delay. This is Rich with your power valve tip for today.